He painted a picture of a new dawn, of a golden age born in savagery and carnage, of the painful rebirth of freedom. In the dead of night, shadowy figures came and whispered to Sota through the bars of the window. The herdsmen were coming. The slaves at the villa were ready. The time was close at hand. Soon those in the mill were ready to risk anything. And then, in that squalid prison, Sota had worked wonders. He stood and, at the click of his fingers, his chains fell to the ground. He picked them up and again they snapped closed round his wrists and ankles. When he prophesied, his breathing became hoarse. His voice seemed to come from far away, and in the darkness, flames seemed to flicker from his mouth. At those moments, the slaves from the Empire believed that the goddess of love came down from her temple in Eryx and possessed him. They thought he was a Syrian, and they called him Epaphroditus, the beloved of Aphrodite. But Crocus knew better. It had long pleased the Lord of the Gallows to wander disguised among mortal men. The hooded one could take any shape or condition, no matter how lowly. One summer, he had done the work of 9 thralls to gain the meed of poetry. Crocus knew he was in the presence of Woden the All-Father, the king of the gods of the north. At the top of the hill, the gates of the town stood open. Sota was standing in their shadow. He led them through the empty streets. Behind shuttered windows, the inhabitants slept, unsuspecting. The tall roof of the temple of Aphrodite loomed over their progress. Not one guard dog barked. They arrived at the barracks. Inside slumbered the only soldiers on the whole island. A ceremonial troop selected from the noblest youths of Sicily to guard the temple of Aphrodite, the goddess who had betrayed them. Crocus felt the old tension that cramped his muscles and clutched at his chest before battle. At Milan, he had stepped forward from the ranks and danced himself into a frenzy, had drawn down from the gods the ferocity of a wolf. Tonight there was no need. The All-Father himself was here with them. The outer door was unlocked. In their complacency, the well-born youths had no thought of danger. The gatekeeper snored in his lodge. With a deft motion, as if offering sacrifice, Sota severed his throat. Crocus followed Sota across the moon-washed courtyard. Outside the barracks, Sota paused and spoke to his disciples. They are asleep and unarmed. Show no mercy. They have none for you. A low grumble of hatred showed the exhortation was unnecessary. Crocus was first through the door. A long dormitory, at least 50 beds. Figures under blankets stirring at the noise of the intrusion. A door at the far end that led to the other dormitories. Crocus ran the length of the room. The first screams rang out behind him. At the far end of the next chamber, a couple of youths, alarmed by the outcry in the other room, were out of bed. They did not move when they saw Crocus coming. The surprise was too great. It was beyond comprehension. They were stock still, not believing their senses, when Crocus cut them both down. A staircase. The other 2 dormitories were on the floor above. Here, the sleepers had been roused by the commotion. Half a dozen youths were snatching weapons from where they were piled in the center of the chamber. They turned to face Crocus and the warriors at his back. The corridor between the bunks was wide enough for 2 men, shoulder to shoulder. Crocus feinted at the one to his right. As that youth leapt back, Crocus dropped to one knee and cut open the left thigh of the other. Rising, Crocus aimed a backhanded slash at the one recovering his balance. It missed. The blade Crocus had taken was not the long sword with which he had always fought, but some short Roman weapon. Another Alaman chopped the youth down. Turning, Crocus batted away a feeble thrust, stepped inside his new opponent's guard, and punched the tip of the sword into his stomach. As the memory in his muscles took over, part of Crocus's mind noted this old-fashioned Roman sword was good for thrusting. After that, it was just a massacre. Back outside, Crocus felt no fatigue, just pure elation. Sota raised his blood-stained hands to the night sky. Tonight you struck the first blow for freedom.